7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good evening and welcome to another episode of Men of Promises, a Man's Conversation. And I am your host, Craig Sanders. And today, my beautiful wife is joining us again as a co-host. And I'm here with my partner in crime, the guy who brings all the bad stuff out of me. And I got to explain my situation on this podcast, Mr.
Ariel Prater. And today I have my wife with me, Tanya Prater.
Okay.
Is joining us. So
we got our Secret Service in.
Exactly.
People keep us in line.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
All right. So before we start, like, subscribe, follow, and share this podcast. If you know somebody who needs to hear something, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, if you need to contact us, you can email us at menofpromise2018 at gmail.com. If you want to call in for a comment or question, our office number is 470-412-0917. So as many people know, we have this podcast we do every week. It's called The Man's Conversation. This conversation was derived from my barbershop and just a conversation that men would have. The good thing about the barbershop is we would always have women come in, either married or single.
Right.
And they would hear a lot of the conversation that men were having, but really wouldn't understand it because the principles that men operate off of are a little different than the principles that women operate off of. So it's good to have my wife in here. It's good to have your wife in here. And so we're going to change it up. We're going to keep a conversation going that we would have in the barbershop, but we're going to talk about couples and marriage and dating and things like that. So people can understand where we come from, how we've gotten where we've gotten, and a little bit of who we are, especially with our wives being here. So they might be telling our business today. So, but welcome, ladies. And here we go. Tell us how you guys met. Well, tell the world how you guys met. What was you guys' dating experience? What made you guys get married? How long you been married? How many kids you got? Tell us about y'all.
All right. So we met a few years ago. And we met at work. So specifically at the work Christmas party. So we had a great time at the Christmas party. Really met each other, and then from there we started dating.
So Actually, to be honest, you were at a male escort club. She went in having drinks, and she saw you
That's
working.
What it was. Just getting.
And she approached you, and she liked you, and y'all started dating from there.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly how it went.
That's what I heard.
Yep.
That's what I heard from what you explained.
Male escort service.
I mean, listen, we all have a past.
Oh my God.
Thank you, Jesus, for forgiveness.
That's right.
Okay, so tell us your side of the story.
Well, we met at work,
Okay.
but I didn't like him at first. When I met him, I was just like, something about him.
What was the something?
I felt he was just a little arrogant. And I was talking to my girlfriend, one of my good friends. She was in my wedding and everything. And I was just like, I don't really like him. She's like, I think he's, and she's a good, like, when she likes somebody, it's like, okay, let me rethink this. And then so at the like you said, at the Christmas party, we kind of just ended up talking at the bar for like the whole night, like just me and him.
So y'all met before the Christmas party?
Yeah,
or y'all actually met?
He had just started working there.
Okay.
I was already there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was there 2 or 3 months, and then I would go run little stuff by her because she was good at what she did as an accountant, and she was like, I felt he's not it.
Was you trying to push up?
No, not really. She was very attractive lady, all that, looking really nice at work, but I was just like, I'm trying to get work done.
So what vibes was he putting off that seemed of arrogance?
I don't know. It's just his demeanor, or just like he's very confident. I mean, you know him.
So is confidence and arrogance the same thing?
It can be misconstrued, I guess.
Okay, I understand that because my wife will say the exact same
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Yeah, that's really what gravitated me, I think, or drew me into him was he was just overly confident.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so much so that I was dating another guy and it really didn't faze him. Like he was like, go spend time with him, you know, travel the world with him, because when I meet you and come there, you're not going to be interested in him anymore. And I was just like, what is this dude talking about?
Right.
You know?
Bingo.
Sorry.
And what happened?
So I was supposed to be going out of town to visit this other guy for Valentine's
I got a
Day.
question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Was you was going out of town?
I was going out of town.
Was you sleeping at his house?
No,
Where was you sleeping at?
I was going to sleep in a hotel.
You know when you blink your eyes and you talk. But that's the past. That's the past. So you was going out of town.
I was going out of town to visit.
What hotel were you staying at?
I don't remember.
Yeah, it
That's
was
been
no
20-something
hotel.
years ago.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
He worked out of town, so he didn't even have a house there.
So that means you were sleeping in the same room with him. See, you're
No.
making it worse. The more you talk, the worse.
He's going back in time to
Right.
try to figure this
Where-
out.
Where has the confidence gone?
I'm still
You know?
confident. There's no confidence in your story. That's the problem.
Don't laugh at him.
I'm trying not to.
All right, we're gonna make this fun tonight, y'all. This is gonna be a fun podcast. All right, so finish your story. So you had a room with him.
No, so I was going out of town to visit for Valentine's Day. He lived here in Atlanta. He worked in Dallas, Texas.
So he was in a hotel in Dallas, right? I'm just asking. I just
You
want to
so
make. I'm just
interrupted me.
asking. He was at a hotel too, right?
He worked
Okay.
there, so he would travel with his job.
Okay, I'm just asking. I just want,
So he had bought my ticket. He had paid for me a room.
Mhm.
You know, he had asked me. He said, "Have you ever been to Texas?" And I said, "I've never been to Texas." And he said,
Nope.
"Well, you should come out and visit for Valentine's Day." So I was like, "Sure." So anyway, my trip was planned. Ticket was paid for. Meanwhile, I meet Craig. We start talking. You know, mutual friend introduced us.
Okay.
And he had a sense of humor. You know, he was very spiritual, and you know, we just had a lot of really good conversations. So in the midst of all that, the first time we talked on the phone, he asked me, could he pray with me? So after we prayed together, he says, "I think you might be my wife." And I said, "Well, why would you think that?" I said, "You don't even know me. You don't know what I look like." He said, "I don't care how you look." He said, "You could be 6 foot wide or 10 feet tall." He said, "I can tell by your spirit."
Okay.
I said, "Well, I care how you look."
I
I said, "You need to send me a picture because I don't do the meeting over the phone thing."
Well, there was nothing you had to worry about with these looks over here, baby.
Oh, God. So meanwhile, we're talking. You know, he's again
You had to see a picture
telling me
I didn't.
I'm his wife,
Really?
all this
Didn't.
kind of stuff. So as I am getting to know him, I need to tell him that, look, I've been going to dinner with this other guy. I've been out with him a few times.
Mhm.
He invited me out of town for
Mhm.
Valentine's Day. So he was like, "Go." He said, "I hope he treats you like a princess." He said, "Because when I come to Atlanta to meet you, I'm going to treat you like a queen." He said, "But I bet you change your mind about going."
Okay.
He said, "As a matter of fact, your layover is going to be in Texas, but you're going to be coming to California to see me instead." So I was like, what is this guy talking about? So make a long story short, he did fly to Atlanta to meet me. He did treat me like a queen. A week before Valentine's Day, he called me and he said, "Sherry, I have a round trip ticket from Atlanta to California and your layover is in Texas. Now make your choice."
Okay.
I said, "This guy is too much." So I called the guy in Texas. I said, "Look, I got a lot going on in my life right now." I said, "I don't think I'm going to make it."
Yep.
I offered to pay for the ticket. He told me, "Don't worry about it." I don't think I ever talked to him again.
Wow.
Flew to California to see him. He took me to meet his mom. Then he took me up on this mountaintop and proposed. So we met January 17th of 99 over the phone. He proposed February 12th of 99, and we were married by April.
Wow.
And this past April was 25 years.
So have you heard
That's
that saying? pimp by blood, not relation.
Yeah.
Just want to let you know, son.
That's funny.
It's in the blood.
Wow.
It's in the blood.
So confidence.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. So either you're confident or you're not. And confidence and arrogance are not the same thing. Confidence and conceit is not the same thing.
But a lot of people do misinterpret because I've had a lot of people say that he's arrogant or think that, especially more so in other men.
Really?
Yeah. Well, this is the thing.
That's a little weird, I feel like. Because
if you go to Lion King,
yeah, right.
Simba's dad was the king.
Yeah.
Who hated on him because he couldn't operate and he didn't understand how Simba's father. I operate differently in certain situations.
Yeah.
There are certain things that I have to take command in where other guys would be like, well, you didn't have to do that. I wouldn't do that if my wife. No.
Right.
No. We had to have order.
Yeah.
And I don't do good in chaos. Actually, I do very well in chaos. I don't like chaos. So when men see me and I have to take control or I have to erect a structure or a standard or principle that they don't understand, then I'm arrogant or I'm conceited.
Coming from another man, that's a little weird to me because I would feel like if you have the confidence in yourself, you wouldn't be calling out the arrogance in somebody else.
Right.
Not man wise. That's a little weird to me. But I mean, that might be my confidence.
I think it's
I'm
men
not going to look
that
at
are
another man
intimidated
and say,
and hating, you know.
That's true. I can see that.
And let me just share with you this. Take your finger, index finger, and your thumb, and press them together hard as you can. How much space you got in there?
No space.
The space between your fingers is how much I care. When they call me arrogant,
right? No, exactly.
Because this is the thing. Like my wife and my kids call me Hitler because in my house there are certain things that need to be done.
Right.
And what I explained to them is Hitler is the one that got you living in the house that you live in.
Right.
So even though you don't like how I say it needs to be cleaned or how it needs to be upkept, the principles that I operate in are the ones that got us in this house that we're in and the houses that we own. So Hitler in my house has a double meaning. So you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
Double meaning. So
back to confidence.
Confidence. I want to go back to them dating.
Oh, to them dating?
Yeah, and then we'll talk about us dating. So tell us about you guys dating.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Tell us about. I mean, what was you doing? What was your Maca from Alabama? What was you putting on?
I mean, dating was great. I feel like we dated a while. We dated pretty long time. But dating was needed. I feel like for me, I needed that amount of time to be ready to marry someone.
Okay.
You know, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. Everything's good. But for me to commit to one person and say this is really what I wanted to do right then, it took me a while to get there.
Yeah, I mean everybody's not confident like me. You know what I'm saying? See her, marry her in 3 weeks. You know what I'm saying? But that's our story, and y'all story is going to be different. So
exactly.
We didn't really start dating until after we got married.
That makes sense.
And had kids.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like it happened so fast that we didn't
really know each other.
We didn't know it. I still don't know her.
It was an adjustment because, you know, I came from a real traditional background growing up in the South. He grew up on the West Coast where, you know, things were a little more free and carefree and no, you know, not a whole lot of tradition or anything. And so it was an adjustment. Personalities. You know, I was very old fashioned and he was very new age, modern. You know, even down to church. I grew up AME, African Methodist Episcopal, drinking the wine. He grew up
I ain't know nothing about
non-traditional, you know, where they're dancing and just doing all kinds of stuff, you know, in church and led by the Holy Spirit. And, you know, not that we didn't have the Holy Spirit, but it was just orderly, you know. So it was just a lot of differences. You know?
I can see that. And you wouldn't see that until you date that person for that long. So, and I think for our story, I feel like that helps because you know, once we got into it, marriage, it wasn't that different.
No.
Because we kind of knew and been through all the stuff.
Yeah.
Before. So that, you know, just bringing the households together wasn't really that stressful. just because of the amount of time that we did.
Mine was stressful.
Yeah.
I married a woman with 72 coffee mugs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right.
It wasn't that many.
73.
I collected them.
Okay. Yeah, but it's little things like that when you do bring, two people, two households,
and then she
all that
cooked
stuff.
like she was an army cook. Like it's me and her. We buy a pack of pork chops.
She was already getting ready for the 7.
Listen, that's what she was doing.
Yeah,
I'm a vegetarian. She
Mhm.
cooked 24 pork chops.
Wow. So none of that was for you.
None of that was for me.
He came in there pinching off the crust.
Yep.
Next thing I know, it was a pork chop missing.
Mhm.
I told you.
Talking about he vegetarian.
Get some of the meat.
Pigs don't eat meat. I told you stop telling my personal stuff on this podcast. You're gonna end up in the bed by yourself tonight. Good conversation. Good conversation. We talking about couples and us together, and the reason why we brought our wives on today is because we're looking to start another conversation between women, another podcast. And I wanted them to come in to get the feel of what we do, how the flow of the conversation goes. We don't have any scripts. We don't write notes. We just let the Holy Spirit lead. And we've started with one topic and never made it back to that topic just because the conversation was so good. And I wanted them to experience that so they kind of know what we want from them in that conversation. Right. And so since we're couples, and what are some things that you would say to people who are dating today that should be a non-negotiable or should not be happening in the dating scene? Because I know you got single friends, and I know you can see things that they're doing that they shouldn't be doing that don't lead to positivity. What would you say to a person out there that's looking for some direction on how to get married or how to have a good relationship or how to move into marriage?
Yeah, Tanya. Talk about your single friends.
Don't throw the whole bus over her. Just
No. No, she has some good friends though. But
I think one of my girlfriends, her situation is that as soon as she gets into a situation with a guy they could just have met, I feel like she overshares a lot, and it's kind of scary, I think, for the guy in the beginning. And that's something that she knows she does, and she's trying to work on that. But yeah, I think that's one thing.
Yeah, you got to have a little mystery about yourself.
Like you can't just lay it all out there,
Right.
Yeah, and say, hey, I want to get married to you in the 2 days or whatever amount of period of time, because that is at least for a single guy, that's a little red flaggy. I'm like, wait, what?
Right. Why are we talking about this? It's the
Right.
first day.
Right.
Yeah.
First week, I don't know you, just like you were saying with Craig, but your situation is different. But I know me, I would be like,
Oh, I did think he was crazy.
Yeah.
No, I told my girlfriend, I said, I think he might be crazy. Yeah. And, and it wasn't until God really started giving me confirmation on some things that I kind of said, well, maybe this is God, because at first I was like, oh no,
right.
I was running background checks and all kind of stuff because I was just like,
yeah,
moving too fast. Yep. So I think that's the thing.
I was moving on my pace,
right, and that worked for you. Obviously, it worked for you, and you knew from confirmation from God, what
that's
He
where
already gave
my
you.
confirmation came
exactly.
from.
But like I will say, I'm not moving at that 3-month pace. I'm not doing that. So
well, I at the church that I was at, one of the pastors said you should know by the second or third date if this is marriage material.
Oh, I can agree with that.
I think, and I shared this with my wife. I was talking to a guy, counseling a guy, and his sister walked in, and he was like, "Oh, I'm getting some counseling," and she kind of like asked some questions, and I'm answering through him, and then he put her on the phone, and so she's like, "Well, he did this, and he did this, and he did this, and he did this," and I said, "Well, did you let him do it?" She said, "Yeah." "Well, he did this." I said, "Well, was that a red flag?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, you just as responsible as he is." And she just got quiet for like 2 minutes because she didn't want to have to be accountable. She wanted to blame him when in actuality, you allowed it to happen. You see these red flags, you should say something, because if it's not something you want to live with, don't establish it or don't let it fester or grow. And I think the women of today, they want everything, but that's not practical. And I think that your wife had a comment I made. What was it? We got ourselves into. She said to you, a comment we made on here that we got ourselves into a.
Oh yeah, I can't remember the exact comment.
And my response to it was, we don't want arguments, but we do want to have a conversation that not pricks, but opens up doors where people wouldn't really talk about. And I'm bold with it. Like, I went to the president of the United States and said, "Your breath stink, homie. Like, you need." That's just the type of person that I am. But we want to have a conversation that other people
would have exactly the same thoughts.
Would not have.
Right.
And the thing about it is dating is hard, especially in America today. Dating is hard, especially in Atlanta today. Places like New York, LA, Miami, it's different than it was when we were dating. It's different when our parents were dating, or even when we were 19, 20 years old. I told this young man, I said, take this girl some flowers and send her a card. He said, they think you weird if you send flowers. And I'm like, what kind of woman, young lady, don't like flowers? Like, that's the essence of a woman. Is she wants to be beautiful, she wants to feel beautiful, she wants something that reflects beauty. Yeah. He was like, nah, she gonna think I'm weird. And I was like, well, bro, you might want to be weird, because my wife get dozens of roses all the time.
I think a lot of the young people today have not really been taught the values of relationships, or the values of who you should or should not date. And I was at a kind of like a event the other day, and it was a lot of young people there. And I was sitting at the table with a lot of young guys, because I was with CJ and our 23-year-old son, and they all were talking about women and dating. And so they pretty much were saying how if you're not taking them to a nice restaurant, if you're not spending a lot of money, they really won't give you the time of day.
Right.
And I said, well, why does the first date have to be you taking them out spending money? I said, and I gave them some ideas. I said, if you're talking to them on the phone or having a conversation, just be like, hey, I'm fixing to go run and, wash my car real quick. You want to come hang out.
Right.
Hang out. It's not a date. We're just hanging out. Come kick it with me. Go to the car wash. And of course, you're going to get out, because you're going to start taking the trash out. You're going to start vacuuming. You're going to start, wiping the dashboard down. I said, if she stands there and just watches you do everything, and she doesn't help, she doesn't throw nothing away, she don't, do anything, I said, then what type of person she is. I said, because I would never go anywhere with anybody hanging out on a friendship basis and sit there and just watch them do everything and not help.
Well, I'm gonna cut the grass. Can you kick it with me tonight when I cut the grass?
No, I don't do grass. And then the other thing I told him, I said, or just be like, I'm going to the bookstore. There was this book I've been wanting to get, and you want to ride with me? Go to the bookstore.
Right.
See what her interests are. Talk about the different interests. That sparks conversation. I said, you ain't spent no money, but you're getting to know each other. You're getting to know her character. You're getting to know what she likes, what she doesn't like. I said, you set the tone. You're the man. You don't, if you tell her, you want to go out to a nice restaurant, no woman's going to turn that down.
Right.
But you don't have to start there. I said, you need to look at their character first and foremost.
If you offered to do that, if you're talking on the phone, my question back to the women, would they be okay with going out to the bookstore?
That's how you're going to know, the type of woman you're dealing with, because a woman that's really interested in you, she's just going to want to spend time with you. Yep. She's going to want to go because she wants to spend time with you. It's not about what you got. It's not about the money you're spending on her. She's interested in you. And that's going to speak volumes.
I think even if she agrees to that, that's a good sign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because social media just has these
And that's the
women.
thing. That's where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's where we at, and that's what these young men have to deal with right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is well, they know, hey, we got people putting posts out there. I will never go to Applebee's. What?
Or
Nah.
Cheesecake Factory.
That's I know when I had Cheesecake Factory money, and it wasn't 20 years ago.
Right.
It wasn't 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, and that's what they're dealing with now.
Yeah. It's awful.
I hate it.
It's
for 'em.
expectation, and that's why there are so many single women.
Yeah.
Because they have these unrealistic,
Yeah.
Unfair expectations,
Exactly.
and and they miss out, in my opinion, on really good quality men.
Well, I'm gonna give it a better definition. It's called delusional arrogance.
Delusion.
It's delusional. And I'll be honest with you. I haven't dated anybody since I've been married, except for my wife. But when I was dating, a lot of women